Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Bob Phibbs, the Retail Doc. Today is June 25th. It's 9 a.m. Eastern Time, and I'm thrilled that you're joining me from wherever you are across the world. I normally do these every Sunday morning, the first one of the month, but as next weekend is a holiday in the States, July 4th, we are going through and doing it this week. And it's funny because I asked all of you for questions yesterday, and I would look at the post, and Facebook would only show it to like 42 people. So it's like, oh, for gosh sakes. So I kept putting it in, and like I get one, and I'm thinking, well, I'm not going to do this if I don't get at least five because I have nothing to talk about. So I wake up this morning and there's 15 of them. So there you go. I hope I have all of you who have submitted questions joining me live. So if not, then you can ask your own questions while I'm live. And if you're watching this while we are on replay, I reply to everybody. So, you can certainly ask away if I don't get yours today. Good morning, Amit. Glad you're here today. So one of the fun things that we did last month was having you rephrase my questions or answers as if it was a gardening question. And today I want you to think about rephrasing. Just gives you something fun to do to keep your brain engaged. Rephrase either the question that somebody's asked me or my answer as if it was something to do with a restaurant. No answers are wrong, and it just makes it a little bit more interesting than sitting you saying there, hearing me talk. So fair enough. I hope that sounds interesting to you. And again, it's always interesting to tell me where in the world you're joining me from, what country, what city, what you sell, whatever it's going to be. Just lets us know that we are a little bit more connected in this great big world. So there you go. Hey, Jose, glad you're here from Mexico City. So what's going on with the Retail Doc? Well, it's interesting. I was looking at my speaking calendar this year, and there's just not as many speeches. And I think, well, what is going on? Well, all the planning would have been done in 2020 and 2021. So it's going to take a while for events to pick up, because even the ones I did the last couple of years all said, oh, these are ones that were supposed to happen 2 or 3 years ago. So if you're a meeting planner out there, I'm available for the fall. That would be great. Number two, I'm off to do a kickoff for Nancy Ralston in North Carolina on Tuesday. So Nancy, I look forward to seeing you all for your Sales RX kickoff down there. Another thing I'm doing is more business makeovers. So it's interesting, as people have come out of the pandemic, they made money. Now they're reinvesting in their stores, which is absolutely great. You should reinvest in your people first, but stores is also very important because frankly, nobody likes going to a dingy or not working store, either due to technology or colors or layout or a million things. So I hope that's interesting to you. I will share what I'm doing along the way, usually more towards the very beginning and the very end. I don't usually take you through it as well. And some of you said, oh, I didn't know you were doing your lives still. And I was like, I still am. I just don't do them like in the pandemic. I did them every day for months and months, and that got to be a bit much. And then I made it just Sundays, and I want my weekends back. So now it's just one Sunday. So all you have to do is just subscribe to this channel. Just subscribe. You'll be notified. You'll be able to see it. It's all good. And finally, just one more thing is our Sales Rec Sprint starts July 27th. That's for anyone who joins between now and then. So it's roughly you have a month to sign up. What does it get you? Well, we'll have an additional 4 weeks of group coaching calls that you'll have with me and my assistant, Megan. Get all your questions answered and keep you accountable. I had to laugh. We have a survey when people leave Sales Rec. Sometimes people leave us after many years. Sometimes people leave us after a few months. This person was, I don't know, after a few months, and their comment was, we're too busy to watch videos. And I was like, wow, it's a 3 to 5 minute video. We're too busy. Hey, maybe you're busy now, knock on wood. I guarantee that's not the way it's always going to be. Am I right? Furniture retailers? Yeah. Am I right? Garden centers, like, wow, it was awesome in 2021, 2022. We're the bomb. And with inflation going up, wow, we're great. Well, with inflation going up 11% and you're up 6%, you're like, I'm loving life. Wait a minute. That's 5% less than what costs have done. So the time to get back to basics is right now. And if you are kidding yourself that you don't have time to train your crew, or you don't have time to repaint the store or clean up the parking lot or restripe it, well, good luck to you, because that's the path to obsolescence. Because we are noticing more and more younger entrepreneurs are coming into the retail market. And you know what? They've done their homework. They have connected their Instagram and their omni-channel strategy, and they've figured it out. If you are a little older than that and you think, oh, I don't need to do that, well, you don't. but someone is going to take advantage of it. So why not use this time wisely and invest in your crew and then in your store? Let me say hi to people. Avandra, good morning. Glad you're here this morning. Anita from Dublin, glad you're here. Indianapolis, Indiana. Sharon, glad you're here. Essence from Georgia. Susan from Pine Knoll Shores. I imagine I'm going to be seeing you soon, Susan. And Bakir, I'm glad you're here as well. Builders are advertising now, open houses, neighborhood kickoffs. Absolutely. That makes a big difference. Awesome. So I'm glad that you are all here with me. I have a lot of questions to answer at any point. If you want to join me, then just type in there. And again, the game today is rephrase either the question being asked of me or what my response is as if it had to do with a restaurant. So you can play with that. If you don't have to, just listen to me. All right. Top fan Jess kicks us off with, how much does a location really matter? Considering a move to a higher location, higher traffic zone, but that also means significantly higher overhead costs. So top fan Jess, I would say you're going to pay for it one way or the other. If you have been in an out of the way area, you've had to do more marketing and paying more money for getting people there. I know I used to be in the coffee business. I think I told you all, and I had this person approach me one time and they showed me this development and they said, there's a Starbucks across the way. I was like, oh, well, that's great. And we've got a rent. It's cheaper. It's like the grocery store is here and we're going to be around the corner over here. And all those people will come around. I go, where's the parking? He goes, the parking's in front. Why would you ever do this? Oh, I can get a great deal on the rent. Who cares? No one is going to go there. And you're going to have to incentivize them to do that. So the only thing I would say is, Jess, when you say higher traffic, be careful what that means. Does that mean foot traffic? You're a gift store, you're an art gallery, you're something that's dependent on people walking by? Or are you talking about the traffic that actually goes down the street? And in that case, what is the average miles per hour? It's very different. It's 55 miles an hour. It doesn't matter what your windows are. They're focused going to the freeway. If it's 25 or 30, that makes a difference as well. So just be careful what you call higher traffic. And I'm a big believer that we live in the world where you pay more, you get more. There's not a reason someone charges more money for a location unless it has more that they can sell. So do that. But also, I would look around. There's an awful lot of opportunities, particularly if you're in a downtown corridor right now. Carrie, you advocate for lots of training of staff. I do, Carrie. But what's the difference between solid support training and having to repeat your instructions regularly while not seeing them followed? Well, Carrie, sorry, that's you, not them. I don't know what solid support training means. If you're training me how to, let's just take something silly, how to click a pen, and you say, see the pen, click this. Okay, that went in one ear and out the other. Why am I clicking the pen? When do I use this clicking pen? Which pen do I use? How do I get it? Did you train me on this pen? Did you train me over and over how I do this? What happens if the pen's out of it? That's not put in there. You're just saying click the pen and write. Well, that's what a lot of training, that's what a lot of people call training. That's bullshit. That's not training. Telling me to go over there and help somebody is not training me. Telling me that a customer is the most important thing in our company and not giving me the tools to what to do, that's bullshit. I'm not saying you are, but I'm just saying that so much of what we call training these days is anything but that. It's instruction. Instruction is not training. Instruction is how to do this. It's not why or how it works. And that's why training of staff, if you're having to keep repeating yourself, they're not trained, and that's on you. That's not on them. So I'm assuming you're talking about in a store. Obviously, I would say sales are X, but you know what? A lot of people have resistance to taking training, or they say they know it, or they aren't even willing to try it, or they give themselves, a pat on the back. We're so busy, we don't need training. And I'm here to tell you that there's only one way you make a business. It's people. You make your employees' day. They know what the game is. They know how to win it. They have hustle. You're going to be able to make the customer's day. If you don't have that, you're never going to make the customer's day because your own employees are going to turn over and leave quickly, which is probably one of the most common things people ask me on these is, how do I get my employees to stay? Teach them the game of retail, which is to make somebody's day, to get them to buy something from you at more money than a discount and more items than they first came in for. That's the game. And if you train them how to do that, it's great. But if you think just instructing people over and over is going to do it, it's not, which is one of the things people often say to me. They just don't use the greeting. They say what they want. Well, then you didn't train them, and there's no consequences. If I said to you, "Hey, John, I want you to greet everybody. That's I don't care what your greeting is. Did you see the pelican out front? That's your greeting. Great. If I tell all your employees our greeting is, did you see the pelican out front? And John doesn't want to do it. What's the problem if he doesn't do it? Well, because he gets away with it, and the rest of the crew looks at you like, why does he get away with it? So if John doesn't want to do that, what are the consequences? John, if you don't use the greeting, I'm going to take you off the schedule. You're going to work in the back. Well, that's baloney. I want to do whatever I want. Great. But I told you, did you see the pelican out front? That's what we're doing. If there's no consequences, it's just a suggestion. So it's a very big topic. I'm passionate about what I do with it, but I don't give much wiggle room here. There is no gray in training. It's black and white. Once you understand it, then you can add to it. You can personalize it, but without a core foundation. That's what we call it. That's why Sales RX takes roughly 4 to 7 months to master with your crew. It takes a while. Just like any behavior training, whether you're trying to stop an addiction, you're trying to lose weight, you're trying to learn a sport, you're trying to learn an instrument, it takes time to not only understand it here, but to practice, which is why I quit piano at 11 years old, because I didn't want to practice and I thought I could just wing my way through it. But my instructor's like, this is worthless. Why am I giving you lessons if you don't practice? Maybe that's where I learned about training. All right, so there you go. That's a lot. Glad you're here this morning, all of you. Oh, look at this. Susan says, going back to location, we moved to a better parking situation in my location and doubled our sales year over year. See, I love that. So the cost really did help you out. I love that. Tom, my crew just doesn't want to talk to people in the interview. They say the right things, but then they become someone else. What can I do? Tom, that's exactly it. And what phenomenon is actually called social anxiety. It's very common in Gen Z right now, somewhat in millennials, which is because they've spent so much time on a phone and no one's taught them the soft skills of how to engage somebody. They may have done a quick search on YouTube, how to answer questions, but when it really comes down to it, they don't feel comfortable being put in a spot where they're judged or made to feel like they don't know it. These are gamers. These young people have grown up on games. They know the rules. They know how to play it. They know how to win. If you haven't trained them that, then that social anxiety is what you're talking about. And again, I refer you back to Sales RX, and I've talked a lot about that today. So I'm going to move on, and I encourage you to check it out at sales, SALES, RX.com. Top fan Amy says, buying calendars have changed. In the recent wholesale market, stores were still placing orders for fall of 2023. Ordinarily, we'd been seeing holiday and resort on the racks. Do you think we'll ever go back to that sort of calendar? Well, I think Shine has changed all that. That's the global manufacturing giant out of China. You see a trend on TikTok one day, and you can buy it the next, or certainly within a few days, for pennies on the dollar. I think that idea that calendars are fixed and this is what it was. I think even luxury is understanding that they don't have to have a collection necessarily that comes out at set times, but trying to zig when the other person is zagging. So no, I do not think calendars are going to stay the same, and that's going to affect markets and all sorts of things. But I think it's good. Change is good, right? Serene says, I have a shop on Main, and lately the town's been closing the street on Saturdays for private events. I don't know what that is, and I would love some more information, but we'll keep going. Unfortunately, this has really hurt our shop's business. The events have been in the evenings after all the stores are closed, but the city closes the street all day for setup. What can we do? Is there any way to fight City Hall? So, Serene, I always go back to, instead of starting from that place, start why are they doing this? They're trying to get people to notice downtown. I don't know if this is a street fair. I don't know if this is a private dining event. I don't know if it's upscale, if it's, barbecue and ribs, whatever it is. Start from, they're trying to get people to the downtown. I would imagine your downtown, your Chamber of Commerce, someone has helped arrange this. So I would be on that committee. I would talk to them and say, how is this helping? And tell them how it's hurting you, but maybe you could be open at night. I don't want to be open at night. Well, I'm just saying, if they're bringing these people down, and for private events, they probably have money, so why not consider that? But I just start from how are they trying to help you instead of they don't know what they're doing. They probably do, and they're doing their best instincts. So start from there. I think that's always helpful. By the way, you can always be using our game. It's rephrase the question or comment as a restaurant. All right, there's a lot of you still here at 14 minutes, so let's keep going. Top fan Susan says, "How do you address pushback from staff?" I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Is that training? Is that pricing? I mean, the reality is pushback from staff can be because you have let a culture of the Wild Wild West go and you have never cracked the whip. And now you're asking, how do I crack the whip? If that's the case, then understand you have to find one person to make an example of and then tell them not to do it. And if they do, you're going to cut their hours. And if they do it again, say, if this happens again, it's going to lead to possible, uh, getting rid of you, firing you. And then if they do it again, then they're gone. But they clearly don't see you as, uh, pushback. There's always going to be some kind of pushback. Oh, I don't know why we have to do it. You try to get them to understand it, but at some point, it just becomes, in some ways, because I'm the boss. Top fan Amy says, "How do you address? I do all my shopping on Amazon." I would just simply say, "Great, then what are you doing here?" And bite my tongue. I mean, it's a nasty, rude thing to say back. You probably will never do that. But what do you want? What's the answer you're looking for, Amy? I mean, there's no, you know, why would if this is a casual conversation with your girlfriend out at coffee, that's I would certainly say, great, then what are you doing going to a place like this? But if they're in your store and they're in the middle of a sales process, it would seem like that would be an odd thing. And if that's happening a lot, I would say, are you encouraging that somehow? I don't know what that would be like. So not all the times do I understand some of your questions. So there you go. Lisa, how do you handle a micromanager? Again, I'm not sure. Here's another example. I'm not sure you're talking about. Are you talking about you have a boss that's a micromanager or you have an employee that's a micromanager? They're very different reasons. Micromanagers are an analytical personality. Think Monica from Friends. They have a very detailed list of things that they like done. And usually what happens is they don't end up training anyone to do that. So they just say, I'll do it myself. And the problem with that is that can be very debilitating, especially if you don't end up saying to them, oh, could you train me on that? Or would you let me know that? Which is something I've had to develop with my staff because there's times I'm just like, here, just let me do it. And they're like, I don't learn if you say that. And it's like, thank you. That's exactly what I want to hear. If your micromanager is your boss, then understand that you need to be very clear on what success looks like. So that's the questions I would ask. Could you tell me exactly what success looks like? Success looks like you raise sales. Great. So I just want to make sure I understand what your process is that you want me to follow so that I can meet with success. The more you can clarify what success looks like, I think the better that you can do. How do you handle micro? Okay, Janet, can you comment on ADA compliance websites? It seems there's a legal scam going around where blind people are filing injunctions and encouraging the hire of certain website developers. Wondering how many have been affected. I understand a lot are filed daily. Janet, this story has been around for years. A lot of companies, like if you look, like my sites are on HubSpot, and there's a filter that says ADA compliant, and if it shows 0, then it knows that you're all compliant. Or if there's an issue, it'll say 1 or 2. Usually, this involves alt text on your images and sometimes website colors. But realistically, I understand these things can happen. I understand that there's an issue out there. But the best thing is just have yourself do a quick check and know that you're compliant instead of this is not the most important thing you should be worrying about right now. Linda, how to deal with difficult customers, ones that are unreasonable no matter what you do, and how to stay calm and not let it frustrate you. So Linda, I mean, it's just business. If it was you, would you be upset? Would a reasonable person, if they were in their shoes, be upset? I bought this thing, and I know you say you have no refunds, but I bought it for my mom's birthday. My mom's birthday was last week. It broke. She died, and I want to get my money back. No, we can't do that. Well, of course you can. You just don't want to. And now you get into that whole back and forth and just think, well, what would a reasonable person be thinking? I mean, clearly she's upset about it. And more often than not, difficult customers, you just have to decide am I going to let this get to me or not? And I just always say, just give them what they want. Even when they're horrible things, right? They bought this thing, it's $1,000. You've taken in $100 for the day. You really can't give the money back because you're trying to pay bills. I get all that kind of stuff. But in the long run, go back a year ago and think, was I even worried about this? And think in a year from now, am I going to hold on to this? I am if I make it into a big deal, or is it just going to go out of my head because I got rid of it? I just say, life is too short, move on. Carlos asked, what about customers looking online when you're talking to them to see if they can get a better price online? Carlos, the sad thing is, you just aren't that interesting. If someone is picking up their phone while I'm talking to them, that just doesn't happen. So I would encourage you to be looking at getting out of features and benefits in fact, more features than benefits of your products so that you have a relationship. You have to earn the right to sell the merchandise. Again, so those of you talking about pushback online, remember 90% of customers start their journey online. So if they go back to it while they're in your store, that means that something is not connecting, because people don't just go to the store. Oh, I'm going to go to the store and then I'm going to reorder it again. Most people just want it. Just take it. Janet says, advice on researching and developing a bridal registry. I think call some other people out of your area if that's what you want to do. Understand that Home Depot is probably one of the biggest ones doing bridal registry right now, that it's not necessarily to get the plates and the cups and all that stuff. And then how can you piggyback on that with other companies that do wish lists? Because the wish list is really a great idea. And I'm all for anything you can do to get people to give you their name, address, and what they really want. That's all important. So I hope that helps. But again, I don't know what you sell, so it's hard for me to know. All right, so we're kind of there at the end. So Susan just kind of goes on with, or Serene goes on, private event. Yeah, I don't know what to say, Serene. Either you're gonna be upset about it and you're going to say it's unfair, or you're gonna find a way to talk to your local uh, chamber of commerce and say, what can we do to make this better? Again, they're not doing this. They could have it in a parking lot. They could add it a million ways, but they did it for you. And I hope that helps. Well, I didn't see anybody playing my little game with the restaurant. So, Bakar, yeah, that's the ones I'm asking you. That's the ones I'm asking you. So I know that was a little tough. What type of questions do we need to ask from customers who leave the store without buying? I think that's a hard thing. When I walk out of a store, if someone's chased me down and said, "Oh, I know she didn't buy anything. Can you tell me why?" Most of us, our minds are already on the next task. We're at the grocery store. We're at the drugstore. We're trying to get out. I think the bigger question is asking your crew, why didn't they buy? Oh, well, they didn't see anything liked. Really? Did you ask them that? Or tell me, what did you do to build rapport with them? Tell me, what did you do to understand better, and what did you share from your personal stuff? I didn't do any of that. Well, then it's not unusual that people didn't leave, because most stores, the conversion rate is really in about the 20% rate. The more you can get that up, the better. And the more items the people who do buy from you buy helps make up for those. So I hope that helps. I'll see you again in August, although I might do one here at the end of July. If you like what I had to say, please give me some thumbs up. Let me know that you got a lot out of it. And you can always recommend it to your friends. Don't forget, subscribe to this. That way you'll see it when I do them live again. And I hope you have a great rest of a strong finish to the end of June. And it's only 6 months to Christmas. So the time is now to prepare for having a great holiday. Remember, we're about as happy as we make our minds up to be. If you approach a challenge and say, "Oh, I'm so defeated," you win. But if you approach the challenge and said, "What if?" life opens up. I hope that's what you'll do instead next time. Thanks. I'm Bob Phibbs, the Retail Doc. Thanks for joining me.